Thank you. Thank you. So I have a question for all of you. How many of you have failed at something? And I'm not talking you wore the wrong shoes or you left something at the grocery store. I'm talking about mega, colossal fails. All of you, right? I know Glenn's raising his hand. I know I am. So I was asked in an interview one time to share one of my fails. Now, I'm a mom. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm living life. I have failed enough for every single one of you in this room. I really had to think for a moment and say, what's the fail that I want to share? So I looked up and I said, how about I share with you my epic fail? And now I had their attention. And I shared this story with them. So I'm a business owner, as I shared. I've been in business since 2004. I've had successful companies in marketing, event planning and management, and running a busy organization for mom entrepreneurs. I've had a lot of failure, more so than my success. And so I started to share this story with them that in 2016, I had what you would call a little bit of an identity crisis. How many of you have had a little bit of an identity crisis where you're like, what do I want to be when I grow up? I couldn't figure out what was my purpose, but I knew it wasn't marketing, event planning, and running this organization. And so I pivoted. So here I am, a startup. Some of you can relate. I think a lot of you are CEOs of companies, founders. You remember what it was like to be a startup? You're scraping by, you're taking clients in, you're trying to figure out what your purpose, your mission is. So in 2016 in December, things were on the up and up. I started to get new clients. I came off of a very successful event that I planned, a pajama party on the rooftop for women, very fun. And I was unstoppable. Nobody could mess with me until it all came crashing down. So I was reviewing and monitoring our event planning website. Now, mind you, we weren't taking on any new clients anymore. And for the most part, I would turn them away and say, thank you, but no thank you. We're not doing this work anymore. I was super focused. But it was the holidays, and I was a startup, and I was trying to support my family somehow. And there was this one inquiry. A gentleman had sent me an email through my website and said, I would really like you to plan this one event. It was an anniversary for his wife, his family, and friends. I was like, this is a piece of cake. I could do this with my eyes shut. And I entertained this offer. Everything was done right. He gave me the signed contract. He gave me all the deposits up front. He even told me what kind of cheesecake he wanted for dessert. I was like, this is legit. I could take this. And I took that contract. Now, the only caveat was that as he was paying me the deposits, I was to pay out the vendors. And I know what you're thinking. It's not uncommon in the event industry, if you've been in that world, to make it a seamless transaction for your clients, to take care of every single detail. And that's what we did. I remember just before the new year paying this deposit, and something wasn't quite right. I couldn't put my finger on it. I couldn't figure it out. But I went on my day. I ended up going to Bounce You with the kids, and then celebrated New Year's. And on January 2nd, I was sitting in my office planning this event when I got a call. A woman out of California called me and said, how did you get my credit card? And what is this charge for? My heart sank. I was speechless because my suspicions were confirmed correct. I became a victim of fraud that day. I was the conduit for this gentleman to use me to get money out of all of these people he had scammed. And I was down on my knees trying to figure out what was my next move. This is failure, right? Failure teaches us so many lessons. I learned 4,000 lessons that day around the holidays, no doubt. I'm supposed to be supporting my family, and now I felt like the biggest epic failure. and I didn't know how to bounce back from that. Perhaps this has been you. Perhaps you've been in a situation similar to what I'm saying, where you've had these mega, colossal, epic fails that have brought you to your knees and made you question everything. Perhaps you've battled with getting back up and embracing your failure and using it to move you forward. I love LinkedIn. How many of you are LinkedIn fans? I know you're on LinkedIn. You and I are connected. So I'm on LinkedIn, and I asked this question one day, good content. Hey, what's the first word that pops into your head when I say the word fail? What do you think people said? Was it good? What do you guys think? What are some of the words that... Painful. Good. Dawn, right? Dawn. The past. Anyone else want to share? Loser. Is that right? I got words that day like broken, embarrassed, defeated, ashamed. These are painful words that everybody was putting out there on LinkedIn. So I knew there was a struggle with this. I knew just from that one experience that I endured every single one of those emotions that all of these people were sharing on my wall. That was hard to take. It is my sole intention in our time together that I change your perception of the word fail from something so broken into using it for the greater good, to turn it into something positive. Now, I saw this image on Pinterest and it resonated with me, and I think it'll resonate with you too. It said, "I am not afraid of failing. I am afraid of being stuck in the exact same place next year." How many of you are afraid of that? Of not moving forward, of being stuck in the exact same place next year? I didn't want to be stuck. I knew that this thing over my head would not define me, that I had to get back up no matter how hard it was to do that. So now that you've heard about my epic fail, how did I move past that? Because that is something that knocks you down and you question everything. So I want to share with you 5 ways that I learned to do this. And I would love for you to utilize these same skills as you walk out that door today. Because maybe you've had some fails that you've experienced and you're not sure how to move past it. Maybe you've buried it so deep down in your soul, you've hidden from it because you're ashamed or because you're embarrassed. Now here are those 5 steps. The first one, the most important one, you must own it. Own it. It's yours. Take it. No matter how hard, own it. You must accept and you must acknowledge that. I get it. Things happen. I was in the wrong place, the wrong time. It happened to me. But it's a part of me that I needed to accept and acknowledge. The second step, I want everyone in this room to take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and let it go. We must reflect on what happened, and we need to learn. I need you to ask yourself questions as you're reflecting on this. Ask yourself, what could I have done differently? Where did I lose control in this situation? What could I have done better? And what did I learn? Because you should be learning in everything that you do. In this situation, I learned so many things. I learned that I should have stayed the course. I learned that I needed to keep my focus. I learned that I needed to trust my gut with everything it was screaming at me. And I learned that if it's too good to be true, it probably is. I learned all of those things, and it helped me find peace and it helped me to forgive myself. Now, the third step is that we cannot let this consume our headspace. We're so good at this, right? We have a failure and we're thinking about it and thinking about it and overthinking about it, and months later we're still thinking about it. We have got to learn to let it go. Now, when this happened, this woman called me and I just dropped everything to the floor. I didn't know how to get back up, but I diverted my attention to helping the people that he made a victim, including myself. I ended up becoming best friends with the FBI, the Secret Service, the cops, the credit card companies, the banks, anything I could do to clear my name and help these people and find justice. I wrote a 15-page dispute telling MasterCard that I am not guilty, I'm the good one. And it didn't work. I found out that I was guilty and that I had to owe back every cent that this man stole from this person and now from me. Talk about bad news, right? Once that happened, I had to learn to accept the consequences and let it go. Now, the fourth step, this is hard because I know a lot of us in the room are people pleasers. Any of you people pleasers? Maybe. We care too much about what other people think. We let the opinion of other people weigh us down. I'm guilty of that. So guilty of that. Around this time this week, when this happened, I was giving a grant. I told you that I love helping startups. I was personally funding a startup business grant. And as this was happening, I was trying to plan my event, and now I had to divert my attention to dealing with this, and I couldn't do my event. But I still did the event. I still went. I had to get up in a room bigger than this and inspire the crowd. I didn't even know if I wanted to do that anymore. I was like, do I want to be an entrepreneur? Maybe I'm not cut out to be an entrepreneur. What the heck am I doing up here? Trying to inspire all of you to go for it. Be bigger. Have big, hairy, audacious goals. I didn't even know. I felt like such a fraud and an inspiration. What? But it didn't matter, right? It only mattered what I thought. It didn't matter what everybody else was thinking. I needed to learn to let others' opinions of me go. Now, earlier I asked you, how many of you have failed? How many of you have experienced these epic fails? Show of hands, how many of you have experienced these epic fails? Now, did you see? Everybody was like, I'm done. I was hoping you'd raise your hand and keep it up, but every single one of you in this room raised your hand. So who's judging? We have all experienced our epic fails. Just some of us choose to admit it and share it, and some of us will keep it hidden. All right, so for those of you that are keeping it hidden, this one's for you, this fifth step. The fifth step is that you must, now these are my terms, flip the script and turn your mess into your message. When I was starting in my business, I was running this mom entrepreneurs group, and I had a lot of women who put me up on this pedestal. And I remember feeling so afraid of falling off because I'm like, dang, that's such a far drop. That I had to maintain this persona, this perfect persona of Tisha is doing everything right. She's perfect in all these ways. And it was exhausting. And I couldn't do it. Especially having something like this happened where I wasn't even sure if I could be that inspiration or that role model to people. This one scenario taught me something. It taught me how to be resilient in the face of adversity. And it taught me to dig deep and to finally be me for a change. I didn't have to impress you, Glenn.
But you do.
Fan club. I just had to be the real me. I'm very grateful for this opportunity that I had at this time when I was asked to speak at the SOAR conference, which stands for Success Over All Resistance. The event planner called me and said, "So Tisha, do you have a topic you'd like to share?" And I said, "Oh, you bet I do." And I decided I wanted to share this topic with them, titled Rising from the Fall, All of the Lessons That I Learned. And I got up on that stage, and here's the kicker. This event that I spoke at was 1 month to the date of this gentleman's event had it been legit. Here's the other kicker. I know your eyes are getting wide. It was on the exact same stage, on the exact same venue that I would have booked for this gentleman. It's crazy, crazy. I was like, you're kidding. You are kidding me when you tell me. Yeah, a little bit of a irony. I got on that stage and I shared very publicly what happened, and I did not apologize for who I am or that I'd fallen victim to this. I got up and I shared, I failed, and I learned so many, many lessons that I want to share with you. I was the real me. I got off that stage and something beautiful, remarkable happened. I had a line of people waiting to talk to me. And here's where I get teary-eyed. I brought tissue. They said 2 words. They said, "Thank you. Thank you." They said thank you because they had gone through that same shame and guilt and embarrassment and fallen into something very similar and didn't know how to cope or move past it. They said thank you because they were business owners, consultants, CEOs, founders who knew they were going to fall into a trap like that somewhere down the road if they weren't looking for the signs. And they said thank you for being honest and being the real me. That to me was a failure turned to success, if I ever saw one. That's what failure is, isn't it? Failure. It's life's greatest teaching moments. Winston Churchill once said, "Success, it's not final. Failure, it's not fatal. It's the courage to get back up that truly counts." So here's my question to you. Are you ready to take those failures that you've had, that you've buried deep within your soul, and are you ready to embrace your failure? Are you ready to turn your mess into your message? So I have one more story to lighten the load, because I know that was a little deep. It really reflects this process of owning it, reflecting, learning, letting it go, and using it for the greater good. And it brings me here. It brings me to this stage. So I want to take you back. I want you to go back to the 1990s. I'm in junior high, and I'm this girl with the frizzy hair, because my mom permed it, and I did not know how to use hair products. I have no sense of style. I'm actually quite a hot mess, because I don't know how to match my clothes. I remember I'm in a picture wearing jelly shoes, lace leggings, and a t-shirt tucked in. Pretty cool, right? I'm a little on the chubby side because I really like my candy bars and my tater tots. And I'm given this one assignment, to get up in front of a crowd and give a speech. Ugh, public speaking, mortifying, right? I was so nervous. I remember her calling my name, and I had to walk up to the front of the room, and I turned around, and I was ready. I started to open my mouth, and nothing came out because I forgot every single thing I was supposed to say. If you would have asked me what my name was, I would have said, I have no idea. I sat there for a couple minutes trying to jog my memory, and still nothing. I remember getting down on my hands and knees and trying to tie my shoelace, and nothing. I looked at my teacher and I said, I'm sorry, I can't do this. I turned back around, I took my seat, and I failed. I failed that course. Now, I could have stayed down, but you know me, I don't stay down. I got back up. I enrolled in the drama club because I knew that if I were going to hone this skill, I needed to learn. I got really good at memorizing. I got better at getting up on stages and delivering speeches and just being more and more comfortable with the stage. I got my degree in broadcast journalism from ASU, go Sun Devils. I remember having to take a public speaking course and acing it. Here's this girl that failed and now is acing public speaking. What? And then when I started my career, every time someone asked me to speak, I said, I will, let me do that. When she called me about deaf, I will. I'll be part of the first graduating class. This is what failure is, right? I'm reminded of a story, Thomas Edison. When he was inventing the light bulb, a reporter asked him, so how does it feel to fail 1,000 times? And he said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. It merely took me 1,000 steps to get here. So let me ask you now, what do you think of when you hear the word fail? Have we flipped the script? Are you ready to turn your mess into your message? Because here's what I think. I think of fail as my first attempt in learning. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.